Okay, we're back with Willie McCallum for part two of our Pipes Drums interview with the 2022 Glenfiddich champion for the ninth time. Willie, thanks again for joining. Really appreciate it.
It's a pleasure.
So we thought we'd, in this part, talk about some of the things you go through as a competitor. You've been around or treading the solo boards at the highest levels for quite a long time. Um, does it get easier every time you compete at the Glenfiddich?
Um, no, it doesn't get easier. I'd like to think it would, but no, I think it's your own expectation and your own sort of dreams about how you'll play, and it's kind of trepidation at what will happen at the end of the day, how it'll turn out, and I think the only thing that really makes it slightly easier is preparation, and good preparation, and probably faith in the instrument. I think that's the two things, because anything can happen. It would appear some days, but no, I think the instrument is a huge thing during the week, and if you're not messing around with reeds and stuff like that during the week, it makes life so much easier. So preparation's the other thing. I mean, I always think that when you go up to a competition, you're playing against all these fantastic players. Um, any one of them is capable of coming out on top. But the thing that always I have in my mind is that if I'm prepared any less than anyone else, then I'm not happy. So I always like to think, and I'm the best prepared there, even if I don't play the best on the day.
Hmm. And so for that, do you find yourself practicing more than, whether it's for the Glenfiddich or any time, than you did, say, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago?
No, I don't think I do. I think it's about the same amount. Probably a wee bit differently. Maybe just some things are more, common sense, not to overdo it the week of the competition and tire yourself out before you get there. But a lot of it's the same. The repetition of stuff, the work on the chanter, on technique and stuff like that. But a lot of it's for the MSR. It's just like there's always one time the week before I play everything three times through. So which is a time consumer. So usually the weekend before I'm doing 6 marches three times through. It takes a wee bit of time to get through all of that, and the same with the strathspeys and reels, because you want to be in a groove with all the tunes, and you want to be. I like to assure myself that I've done that. If I do that, then I've got faith in getting up there and doing it twice. So that's been the feature for a long time now, and I just keep with that. But yeah, it's just making sure you do enough reps and all the tunes that you feel when you get there. You're not thinking about the timing. You just want to play it the way you like to play it.
Hmm. Yeah. And what about, staying sharp? Are there any, I don't know, we guess that you're like everybody else, and sometimes you just don't feel like practicing or whatever. Um, are there any techniques that you have to stay sharp, to stay enthusiastic and motivated, to stay sharp on your technique or whatever it might be? Any tips for people out there?
I suppose I'm a big believer in the fundamentals, and people think I go to workshops and I tell people that I practice G grace notes up and down the scale, from low G up to F and back down, and I think they think you don't need to do that, and just the fundamental grace notes. I do a lot of that just to make sure they're perfect, and then it just builds up from there. G, D, and E's, doublings, that kind of thing, and it gives you an assurance that they're going to be perfect. You're just trying to do that, but the fundamental G, D, and E's are a big feature for me, and I always feel more relaxed when I know they're just right there. And I have a little series of exercises I do So that when you're playing the tunes, you're not really thinking about what your fingers are doing. It's all geared to putting the embellishments in exactly how you want them,
Hmm.
appropriate to the tune. Um, and I suppose the other thing that I do is it's for me it's all about the performance, and leading up and trying to peak at the right time, and the regularity of practice can vary a little, but once you get into the serious time before the competitions, you've got to be playing every day. And my dad always gave me I've told a lot of people this, the 10-minute rule. You know, if you get your pipes out and play for 10 minutes on the days that you can't really be bothered, then that 10 minutes could be the difference between winning the gold medal or the Glenfiddich, because you've done something. And so often, you know, you go to do the 10 minutes, 40 minutes later you're still in your pipes. So I think that's a lot to do with it, just pushing yourself. The hardest bit of your practice is lifting the lid of the pipe box very often. And so I think if people do that, then they feel better about it. And then, you know, building that stamina in your blowing and your technique on the pipes just by doing the 10 minutes or the 40 minutes. And I try to do about 45 minutes. That's my normal pipe practice. I don't like to play much more than that. I feel I can do enough in that. Maybe before the Glenfiddich or Inverness or Oban, at the weekend before, I'll maybe do an extra half an hour at night, just to make sure I'm getting through all the tunes.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's a fairly regular thing, and I think the regularity and the stamina, you know, is really important.
Well, that's really good advice. Good to hear. All right. So apart from you doing it next year or the following year or in the future, your record. Do you think your record at the Glenfiddich of 9 so far will ever be broken?
It's an interesting one. uh, yes, probably. It's hard to get one, but there are a number of great players who've got several already. Of the great players playing at the moment who have several, you're talking about Roddy McLeod with 5, Angus McCall with 4, Stuart Liddell with 3. All these guys are capable of going on a streak and getting a few. But I suppose I always think the records are there to be broken, so you try to do your best to set one, and then, well, you know, something will happen in the future. You know, I remember going to the Glenfiddich and thinking Ian McFadden and Murray Henderson have 4 of these. That'll never get broken. You know, so these things happen. So yeah, I think it's nice to get. I'm so delighted I've managed to do that. But records are there to be broken sometime. You know, like I think when Alistair Gillis got past the record for the MSR at Inverness, probably before that, people thought nobody will ever do that again. So you just don't know.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And okay, so you've done it all, pretty much in competitive solo piping and piping in general. You're what's left? What's in the future? What are you aspiring to? In your piping career, Willie?
You know, the biggest thing for me is just still playing, still enjoying playing, and trying to be competitive. I think there's a couple of things I'd like to win, but if I don't win them, it's not the end of the world. I don't like to think too much about that other than just trying to compete. I'm enjoying playing at the moment. I'm enjoying the challenge of getting up to the level before a competition. It still drives me on. I don't know when that will end. I've said to people it might be tomorrow, it might be a year, at 3 weeks, 5 years, who knows. As long as you enjoy it and feel you can still be competitive, then I think that's the criteria for me, both of these things. And there are times when you don't enjoy it because you maybe don't feel you're playing great or your pipes are being a nightmare. But that's a challenge again, is to say, well, how do I fix that? And I think that's for me is the criteria for keeping going. I mean, I remember Donald McPherson winning the senior Pembroke at Oban when he was 68, and I thought that's incredible, absolutely amazing. I'm not sure I'll go on to that age, but who knows? Yeah, it's just enjoy it, and enjoy it. The other thing I get great pleasure from and is competing against people I'm teaching, because I feel so good when they do so well, and and it's a great sense of achievement for me. So I don't mind if they win and I get nothing. It doesn't matter to me. It's just so good to be involved in their development. So, and it happens a lot. So I'm used to it now.
That's fantastic. Well, you're enjoying it, and it goes without saying that the piping world is enjoying your playing. We certainly enjoyed it last Saturday. You're an inspiration for everyone, young and old, and we hope for many, many years of success in the future, Willie McCallum.
Thanks very much, Andrew.
All right, thanks for joining.
It's
All
a
the best.
pleasure. Thanks.